everyone. My name's Laken. I'm one of the LASIK coordinators here. I'm here with Dr. Brian Stahl and Dr. James Knowles, and we're just going to go over some common asked questions that we get about LASIK surgery throughout our office. So we are going to start. And I just want to start with a couple things, just getting to know the doctors a little bit and talking about their background. So Dr. Stahl, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Brian Stahl. I grew up here in Beaver Creek and did all my training up at Ohio State. So we're big Buckeye fans here. We actually have a Buckeye room. If you want to see it, it's pretty awesome. You know, it grows. People bring me Buckeye paraphernalia. Founded Stahl Vision about 28 years ago. Started doing LASIK about 24 years ago. And just having a great time doing awesome things and giving people their vision back.
I heard you guys just got a little award.
Yeah, actually, there was a vote through Dayton.com, and we got voted. Our practice was best ophthalmologist in Dayton. So we're very proud of my staff and our doctors and everybody else. We work very hard to do great care for patients, and it's been kind of rewarding that the patients recognize that, voted us #1 in Dayton. So we're very proud of that.
Dr. Knowles, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been with Dr. Stahl at Stahl Vision here since 2005, so about 17 years. I had a career in the Air Force, aerospace medicine first, and then ophthalmology after that. And I was head of the ophthalmology department at the base and also laser refractive warfighter center there. And so I enjoy doing it now here in the civilian sector with Dr. Stahl.
Perfect. So we're just going to jump right in. We're going to start asking some questions that we get. Dr. Stahl, tell me, what is LASIK?
You know, LASIK is one type of laser vision correction. And what we're trying to do is decrease people's dependence on glasses or contacts, or eliminate people's dependence on glasses or contacts. There's some other types of laser vision correction, LASIK and PRK. And basically what we're trying to do is reshape the eyes, correct the natural curvature of the eye back to a curvature that people can change their focal point and see clearly, wake up in the morning without their glasses and contacts.
And Dr. Knowles, how do I know if LASIK is right for me?
Well, if you're dependent on glasses or contacts to see vision clearly at distance, then you're probably a good candidate. And so again, as Dr. Stahl mentioned, the goal of LASIK or PRK is to reduce dependence, hopefully eliminate dependence on glasses. And so if you're dependent on those now, then it's worth investigating to see if you're a candidate for laser vision correction.
Perfect. Are there any other options other than LASIK surgery?
Yeah, there's lots of options. One option is you can stay with your glasses and contacts. But for a lot of the patients we see, they've become disenchanted. They're not very happy. And the days when we're all wearing masks and your glasses would fog up in the fall right now, your glasses fog up when you come in from the cold air into the buildings. Contacts, sometimes you get protein deposits. They're irritating. You're tired. They're dry. You're on the computer. You don't see well with your contact lenses. So most of the people we're seeing, they're not very happy with their glasses and contacts, so they're choosing that. Of the different types of refractive surgery, we already talked about there's two types of laser vision correction, LASIK and PRK. Those differ by the surface step. LASIK's done under a flat, fairly fast recovery, maybe a day, people are seeing good. PRK is the same laser, but instead of a flap, we take a brush, remove the surface cells, and do the treatment on the surface. A little longer recovery, but for certain patients with high prescriptions, it might be a better option. As people get a little older, especially if you're in your 50s or 60s, sometimes LASIK isn't your best option. So there's another surgery called refractive lens exchange. It's a little more like cataract surgery, and we can do a surgery to restore your vision both distance and near, with maybe bifocal implant lenses. So, really we have refractive surgery from the time that you're 18 to the time that you're 70 something. So there are several different options. And when you come in for your exam, we're going to look at you. We're going to look at what fits your lifestyle, where your needs are, where you want to see, and find what kind of surgery works best for you.
Perfect. Dr. Knowles, can you tell me how pupil size can affect my LASIK results?
Yeah, that's a question we get periodically. Now, pupil size can affect vision. People who have larger pupils, especially at nighttime, will tend to have more troubles with nighttime vision. That's whether they have LASIK or not. When you come in for your LASIK evaluation, we'll determine your pupil size in a low light environment. If you're somebody who has those large pupils, we'll have that discussion. We will try to alter the treatment size to make sure we're taking into account the size of your pupil. But again, we'll have that discussion when we see you for the LASIK examination.
And then Dr. Stahl, a little bit about what we were just talking. There are patients that come in different stages of life all the time. So LASIK surgery fixes really great for your distance vision, but what about near vision?
Yeah, if you're fortunate enough to make it to mid 40s and on up, that's me, you've noticed your arms are getting a little shorter and you're pushing things further out. It's getting harder and harder to read. And most people notice it in a restaurant first where it's kind of dark and the ticket's grayed out and you just can't see what it says. So the first option is you can wear reading glasses and you can get those $10 readers and that works pretty well. Some people will do this with contacts too, and we can certainly do it with LASIK as well, where we do monovision. Now, with monovision, you give up a little bit of distance vision and you back off the prescription in one eye, usually your non-dominant eye, and we get that eye a little better up close so people can read their cell phone with one eye and see to drive with the other eye. And your brain learns to fuse those two images together. Now, it's a compromise, as you might guess. It's not quite as good for driving maybe at night, but people can regain their near vision. And then again, as you get to the point you're maybe 60 years old, a lot of people are starting to form a natural aging process called a cataract. Most people have heard the cataract word. Most of your parents or grandparents have had cataract surgery. We all live long enough, we're all going to get cataracts and need cataract surgery. But that same surgery we mentioned earlier, refractive lens exchange, it can restore both your near vision and your distance vision. So if you're 55 and on up, we may want to discuss that option to get near and distance vision both. So there are options if you're struggling with your near vision and distance vision both.
Perfect. Dr. Knowles, what if I blink, sneeze, or move during surgery?
Well, that's a great question, and people have thought of that beforehand. And we actually have an eyelid holder it's painless, but it allows you to keep your eyes open without blinking during the procedure. The laser has a tracker on it, which allows the laser to track your eye. And if the eye moves a tiny little bit, which it actually does a little bit all the time, the laser is able to track that. If it moves way outside of where it's supposed to be, the laser recognizes that, stops the treatment. Then we have you look back to a targeting beam, which is very easy for you to see. And then the laser resumes where it had left off. So all those things are concerns, but rest assured the technology has got that all those questions answered.
Awesome. And Dr. Stahl, speaking of the laser, is the laser hot?
Yeah, it's a cool laser. Stephen Treckel, he actually got the IBM patents for this. IBM was using this kind of laser technology. It's called an excimer laser to etch integrated circuits. And the thing they liked about this laser is it didn't do any adjacent circuit heat damage. So it's a cool laser. And it's had applications in the medical field. So for us, we're able to break carbon-carbon bonds. We're able to reshape the front surface of the eye to a correcting shape that gets you your focal point so you can see clearly again and doesn't create any adjacent tissue damage or no heat damage. So it's a cool laser. It doesn't have any heat production to it.
And will our patients be in pain during surgery or after?
Great question. We hear that often. And the answer is no. During the procedure, your eye will be numbed up, drops on the surface of the eye. You'll be aware that there's something going on. We talked to you about that, but you will have no pain during the procedure. After the procedure is done, you can have some irritation, burning, stinging, but no real pain. LASIK, there's very little discomfort. With PRK, there's a little bit more discomfort, but again, that's well controlled and well tolerated. So the answer would be no.
Perfect. Let's see, Dr. Stahl, can I see things coming at my eyes during surgery?
Yeah, most people are a little apprehensive during their surgery, and there's a couple things we do to help with that. One is we give you a Valium that day, so your heart's not pounding, you're not racing things. One of our technicians are going to go through the whole process. They go over the steps beforehand. They're in the room to hold your hand during the surgery. They go over the aftercare afterwards. There really isn't very much coming at you. You're pretty distant from the laser itself. There is a flap creation part. Your vision goes dim for about 5 seconds for that part, so you don't really see much for that. And the rest of it, there's really not that much that's that apprehensive. And most patients, and again, we have lots of patients who could never get a contact in their eye. They'd get right here, and that was it, right? And they come in and they say, gosh, I could never get a contact in, and this wasn't so bad. So one of the common things I hear the next day is like, oh gosh, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yep. That's true for a lot of our patients. That's most commonly the thing that they sit up and say, wow, I can actually see that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Let's talk a little bit more about vision afterwards. Dr. Knowles, should I wear blue blockers while I'm on the computer?
Yeah, that question comes up periodically. So the blue blockers are those yellow tinted glasses, and they're pretty common. The actual medical facts are that there are no studies that show that it's actually better health for your eyes or better ability to see things. It does make things brighter. Again, if you like those, you can use them. It won't hurt your eyes to use them, but there's no medical requirement for that.
Okay. And then Dr. Stahl, what about sunglasses after surgery?
Yeah, the first week, you're a little light sensitive, and wearing some sunglasses outside is a really good idea. After that's your choice. And the nice thing, once you've had LASIK surgery, you don't need prescription sunglasses. You don't have the cost of prescription sunglasses, so you can just wear regular sunglasses. So you can get your favorite pair of Oakleys, and you don't have to prescription sunglasses. If you have PRK surgery, the other type of laser vision correction, if you're out in bright sun for long periods of time or at high altitudes, we do want you wearing sunglasses the first 6 months.
Okay. Dr. Knowles, does my optometrist know if I'm a good candidate for LASIK?
The answer is maybe. They do know that, and they know your eyes. They've seen you for exams year in, year out. They know you're in contacts or glasses. Things they may not know are what are the criteria and how many people can be treated with LASIK. For example, occasionally we'll see people who have a fair amount of astigmatism, and they've been told by their eye doctor, you are not a good candidate, don't even pursue it. They come in for their examination. We go, well, there's astigmatism there, but did you know that it's well within what the range of the laser can treat? And that's a surprise to them. So the real answer is you may have been told one thing, but it's good to come in for an exam, and then you'll know for sure, and we'll let you know, are you a good candidate or not? You might be.
Okay. Let's see, Dr. Stahl, what is the reason for coming out of contact lenses prior to the exam and then again during before surgery?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when you schedule an exam, if you're in soft contacts, we're going to want you out of your contacts for about a week before surgery. And if you're in hard contacts, kind of the old gas brimble contacts, we want you out of your contacts for 2 weeks. And the reason for that is we want your eyes back to their natural, unswollen, unmolded state. What we're doing is we're permanently correcting the shape of your eyes, and we want the most accurate numbers, because that's how you're going to see the rest of your life. So we don't want the contacts molding or warping or changing your prescription. So 1 week for soft contacts, 2 weeks for hard contacts, sometimes a little longer for hard contacts. So we get the most accurate numbers, and you get the best results that way.
And what should our patients do if they don't have glasses to fall back on?
Yeah, a lot of us with really, really high prescriptions, maybe we've got an old pair of glasses that we lost, or maybe the dog got to them or something, and you wear your contacts all the time. Well, we can have you come in, get your exam. We'll do some tentative measurements, and we'll get your prescription and go get some temporary glasses, right? And then we'll repeat some of the exam once you're out of your contact lenses. And most people say the same thing. Oh, I can't possibly with glasses for a week, right? For a lifetime of clear vision, you could go 1 week in your glasses and you can make it. I guess the other way to look at it is you appreciate having LASIK even more after you've had to wear those glasses for a week, right?
True. We hear that a lot. Dr. Knowles, talk to me about different eye conditions that would make me not a candidate for surgery.
Yeah, so some people have conditions that decrease their vision, either something in the back of the eye or something in the front of the eye, or uncontrolled diabetes, something like that. So the vast majority of patients actually who come see us are good candidates, but there are a few that have diseases that affect either the ongoing health of the eye, or they may have an autoimmune condition that makes them not a candidate for the laser vision correction, or they may have some permanent decrease in vision caused by something else. If that's found, we'll let you know that. And again, the key thing is come in for an exam, then you'll know for sure one way or the other. There are a few things, but there are not a lot of things.
Okay. Dr. Stahl, can you tell me about how pregnancy can affect LASIK and my results?
Yeah, it's a good question. She was asking about, what if I'm pregnant? Obviously, if you're pregnant, elective surgeries are not a terribly good idea. And the medicines would expose the baby to the same medicines you're on. So you don't want to do this while you're pregnant. Afterwards, we want to wait at least 3 months after pregnancy, because sometimes your eyes change a little bit. The hormones of pregnancy change many things, including your glasses prescription. And if you're breastfeeding, we want to wait at least a month after breastfeeding too. We want the most accurate numbers. And it goes back to that same answer about the contact lenses. This is a permanent change. We want the most accurate thing that we can do for you, so we want the most accurate numbers. Family planning wise afterwards, if you can, it's nice to wait before you become pregnant again, at least 6 months. Sometimes it happens, people get pregnant a little bit sooner. It's not the end of the world, but your prescription will be more stable if you can wait for 6 months. And again, it goes to those hormones. Those hormones change your eyes as well as other things.
Dr. Knowles, what if I don't feel confident about my answers on choosing a measurement on the day of exam? So I think that means like when they're doing the 4 opters.
Yeah, so again, for the eye exam, you'll have a very thorough eye exam. It's going to take a couple of hours to do the exam, and typically that's done several days or weeks, maybe in front of the actual surgery date. And we have you do that, better one, better two. We measure your eyes, also do a wavefront measurement of the eyes. So we're measuring your eyes a bunch of different ways, undilated, dilated, and all of our staff, and you're going to be ultimately measured by the doctors. We're very familiar with how to do this, and we can tell when a patient is not sure, and we're able to double and triple check that. So just rest assured, you're not going to give the wrong answer and end up with wrong vision because of that refraction. We do it multiple different ways, and we're able to determine what is really the right answer. Okay.
That's right. Yes.
And like you, sometimes if I'm not sure, we just bring it back. We do it again on a different day.
Yep,
Yep,
we can do that.
Triple check.
Yep,
It's easy to do.
Nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
And then Dr. Knowles, can you also tell me how long LASIK lasts?
Yeah, so LASIK, we have patients that are more than 25 years out from the LASIK and their vision is stable. And again, typically nearsighted patients, which is about 90+% of patients are nearsighted. Results are very stable with that. Again, if your eyes were titanium or steel, they would never change, but could you have a small change over 5, 10, 15, 20 years? That's possible. But the procedure itself, we know is stable. If you had a small change due to corneal curvature change or something else going on, then a touch-up could be done down the road, but generally pretty stable. Folks who are farsighted, again, that's 5 to 10% or so of patients. The stability is very good, but it's not quite as long as myopic patients. So we have that discussion with you. Again, most people are nearsighted, very stable with that.
Okay. And Dr. Stahl, can you tell me why I should choose Stahl Vision?
Yeah, there's a couple. First, we've got an awesome staff. That's the best thing. It's the first person you're going to see when you walk in the door, the last person you're likely to see. But, we work very hard to make things just right. Dr. Knowles and I are the two most experienced LASIK surgeons in Miami Valley. That goes a long way. We've got the only laser of its type in Miami Valley. This is a very fast tracking laser. In my 25 years, the most accurate laser we've ever had. That's why we have it. The other thing is we work very, very hard on working on formulas and nomograms. So basically, everybody's a little different. If we're a male or a female, or the humidity in the room, or how much astigmatism you have, or the curvature of your eye, and all of that goes into a very specific nomogram or formula. And an advantage we have is we've got 32,000 patients that we've done. And so that nomogram, that formula is very powerful, very strong, and we can predict people's outcomes. And doing that, you're more likely to get people dead spot on the very first time out the door. So I think that's why people choose this. For nearsighted patients, it's over 98% of people are 20/20 the first time out the door. And even better, 81%, more than 3 out of 4 are better than 20/20. Turns out there's lines below 20/20 that doctors show you all the time. But we have more than 3 out of 4 patients seeing better than 20/20 the first time out the door.
Yep. I can vouch for you 100%. My daughter worked on that study for you.
Yes, she did.
Stack of patients that she went through
Plus to see the
together.
doctors for the appointments.
Yeah.
And Dr. Knowles brought an excellent thing. We see all of our patients before surgery. We do your surgery, and we're going to be here for you after. You're just not going to find that anywhere else. That personalized care and attention is what makes us different than other places. That's an excellent point, Jen.
We work really hard on that, don't we? Dr. Stahl, on that, can you talk to us about the type of training that the staff does have?
Yeah, this is a continuous teaching and learning sort of practice. So our staff members are highly trained. Our nurses are registered, and our technicians are certified, and our doctors are board certified. But all of our staff undergoes rigorous training, and they're constantly advancing, constantly doing education classes. We have weekly classes where we train the staff. So basically, when people come here, they expect the best trained and the most friendly staff they're ever going to get. And that's what they get. We work very hard. I think we have the best staff you're ever going to meet. I think our staff are just fantastic. It's what makes our practice so popular. It's that family feeling. You come in and we take care of people like family. So our staff are continuously getting trained.
Dr. Knowles, can you tell us about tear testing during the exams and why that's important for our
Yeah, so many people out there have dry eyes, and dry eyes can do several different things. It can affect your quality of vision. Sometimes it can affect the quality of the measurements that we have. So for patients as they come in, we ask about dry eyes. We do some additional testing to determine, is there objective evidence of dry eye there? And if there is, we may recommend starting artificial tears, maybe even some nutritional supplements to help increase the lubrication of the eyes and increase the quality of the measurements. So that's why we do tear testing.
Nice. Dr. Stahl, can you tell us about a different procedure that we don't do here, but we get a lot of questions about? It's SMILE.
Yeah, SMILE's kind of trended lately, and people are talking about SMILE. It is a type of laser vision correction. It's a little different technique. With SMILE, instead of a flap or the surface ablation, they try and create a pocket and remove a little sliver of tissue. The technique is somewhat more difficult than LASIK surgery, and the complication rate's a little bit higher. The results currently are not quite equal to what we were getting with LASIK maybe 10, 15 years ago. So they're kind of trying to get to the results we had with LASIK 10, 15 years ago. The driving force initially was they thought people would have less dryness. And here's the thing with laser vision correction surgery, your eyes are definitely going to be drier for 3 to 6 months after. And that's why we measure everybody going in, and Dr. Knowles is talking about some of that. And there's some things that we want to do to pre-treat that dryness. When you come in for your exam, we're going to talk about that. But the latest studies, and we were just in Chicago at the American Academy meeting, the LASIK studies on SMILE found out it's not really all that much better in preventing dry eyes after surgery than LASIK. So for a procedure, it has a slightly higher complication rate. It's a little more difficult on the learning curve of things. It's not getting the same results that we got even 10, 15 years ago with LASIK, and we're not really getting much improvement. I really don't find a place for it, at least at this point in our practice. Now, could that technique improve? So 10, 15 years from now, we say, gosh, it's gotten a lot better, and maybe it's getting a little better results than LASIK. It could. But currently, in this year and time, we're not getting the results good enough that we would offer that here at Stahl Vision.
Perfect. Let's see. Can you also discuss something about choosing your technology and why that's not something that we offer here?
Yeah,
So,
you know, there are places where they have like tiers where they say, oh, if you want this laser, it's this price. And if your prescription's this, you get this price. And then if you want the better laser or the better this, you this. I just never felt that was the way to go about it. We have the best laser, we have the best doctors, and we give everybody the very best technology across the board. So it's one price, and that price includes all of your follow-up care for a year, enhancements for a year if you need an enhancement, and pretty much all-inclusive thing. Because in my mind, everybody wants the best technology. Everybody wants the best of everything. Nobody wants to, well, I got to cut corners and go a little cheaper, and my vision won't be as good. You know, nobody wants a secondhand parachute. It's got to work. You got to go right the first time. So yes, you want the best technology. So one tier, everybody gets the best technology. You don't get a secondhand parachute.
perfect. Can you talk to us a little bit about lifetime guarantees, enhancements rate and enhancement rates after LASIK surgery?
Yeah. So, you know, Dr. Knowles had answered the question, is this a lasting thing? And yes, it's a permanent change. But we are not made out of titanium or metal or steel, and we're not robots. People can drift, people can change, but it's usually a small amount. So here we offer free enhancements for an entire year. And most of the time, if your eyes are going to drift a little bit and we don't quite nail it, we're going to know in the first 3 months. So we do enhancements usually about 3 months afterwards. But let's say 10, 15 years from now, your eyes do drift or change a little bit. It's not too hard for us to go back and do a touch-up, a second treatment, tune-up. There's a much reduced cost for doing that here, but we do charge you after the first year just to cover the costs and the other expenses of doing that. But for most people, it's a lasting change.
Do you have any statistics on the enhancement rate?
Yeah, you know, in the straight out of the box, 98% of nearsighted people first time out are 20/20. Lifetime enhancement rate is around 4%. That means about 1 in 25 people might drift enough that they come back within 20 years or 25 years. But, you know, we're seeing people that I did 20, well, Dr. Knowles and I have been doing this a long time. We did the very first people in Miami Valley. We're the pioneers in this place. We're seeing those people come back, and they're pretty much where we put them 25 years ago. That's a long time.
I had a patient who had a son that was having surgery, and he called and he said, hey, Dr. Stahl did my surgery 25 years ago. I just wanted to let you guys know to be proud because I'm still seeing really good.
So Laken's slightly hinting at is I'm getting a little older. I've been doing this a while, but it's actually kind of nice because I'm seeing the children now of some of the people, not children, young adults of the people that I did 25 years ago. And it's great. I can see the mom and dad, you did me 25 years ago, and my son's graduating from college and we're helping him out and he's getting LASIK surgery. For me, it's kind of this generation thing. It's great seeing the family members of the people I did way long time ago. So again, I love my job. It's awesome seeing these people.
Dr. Knowles, what should patients expect when they come to our office for an exam?
Well, again, we've mentioned friendly staff, competent staff, and expect a 2-hour plus examination, okay? Because we're going to know your eyes. We're going to measure the outside measurements of the eye. We're going to look at inside the eye. We're going to measure tears, dryness, that sort of thing. We'll have you undilated measurement. We'll do a dilated measurement. All of those things take time. But again, it's that whole thing of thorough evaluation up front is going to give you better results on the other end. So expect a longer exam. Don't plan on having a super tight schedule that day because it's going to be needed to be here to do that. But very thorough exam, and at the end of that exam, you'll know whether you're a candidate or not. And we'll talk about the options, LASIK, PRK, etc. And you'll know that you'll be set to go, or you're going to know, gee, I'm never ever a candidate. But again, the vast majority of patients are candidates, but they've got to go through that exam.
And then you get to sit down with us.
That's exactly right.
Let's see. Dr. Knowles, should our patients be concerned about going blind after or during the surgery? That is probably the most common question we get asked.
Well, that's a great question, and obviously the highest concern anybody has with vision care. Nobody has gone lights out blind with this procedure ever, nobody worldwide, millions and millions of procedures done. So the answer is no. So we can reassure you for that. And again, we'll talk you all the way through the procedure. We'll tell you, the risks, again, are very, very low. Infection, maybe a small risk, but thankfully, neither of us have had an infection really in all the years we've been doing this. And so the complication rate, very, very low. Nobody's gone lights out blind. Nobody's gone blind.
Perfect. I know I get that question probably 3-4 times on surgery day as they're signing their consent form. They say, I'm not going to go blind. Dr. Stahl, the biggest question ever, how much does LASIK cost?
Yeah, that's a real good question. I'm gonna have you actually answer the number with the discount here in a little bit. But let's talk about, what's the cost to me and where we're going with that. So, if you start adding things up, if you add up just how much, if you're wearing contacts, you spend on cases and contacts and solutions over 20, 30 years, that's about $5,000. If you add up how much you would spend on prescription sunglasses over 20, 30 years, that's about $7,000 to $9,000. If you end up just prescription spectacles, glasses, you're about $12,000. And if you're wearing glasses and contacts and getting the solutions and the cases and all of that, you're talking about maybe $25,000, $27,000 over 20, 30 years. So when you look at most a cost for LASIK surgery of around $5,000, or it's actually a little less, it's actually a cost savings deal. Now, nobody does it for this cost savings. They do it for the lifestyle change. People do this because they wanted the convenience of wake up, get up, and go. And one of the funny stories you've heard me tell in the rooms before is, I had a patient who scheduled surgery and wasn't quite ready, and she canceled, came back a year later. Scheduled surgery again, wasn't quite ready. And I was like, okay, we're here for you. Whenever you're ready, came back the third time, and we kind of laughing and joking and go, you think you're going to do it this time? And she said, yeah. So I asked her, so what finally motivated you to finally do it? She says, my dog wouldn't come. And I go, what do you mean your dog wouldn't come? I go, I kept calling the dog, reached out down to grab the dog's collar and realized it was a bunch up brown rug and it wasn't my dog. And she says, if I can't even tell if it's a rug or my dog, I probably need to get something done. So people do it for the convenience of that. Now we have great finance plans. We have 24 months deferred interest financing because we want to fit this into everybody's budget. We want everybody to be able to afford this. And how that works is we pay down the interest for you. So you make regular payments over those 2 years. So it's, 2022, that means you wouldn't have, payments or interest for till 2024, 2025 almost, right? And that way you can pay it regularly as you go. And the practical thing, I know Starbucks coffee is expensive, but it's less than the cost of Starbucks coffee per day. And how precious is your vision for that, right? So might as well piggyback on that. And you're going to tell me, how much do they save if they have it done now?
Yes. So for watching the webinar today, you guys do get registered for an $1,100 discount. So with that discount, it makes the total cost of surgery $38.80. And if you do decide to take advantage of the financing plan that we offer through Care Credit, it does come out to about $162 a month.
That's awesome,
Yeah,
actually.
and that's for the 2 years. There's no early payment penalty with our financing if you decide that you want to pay it off ahead of time.
Yeah.
But it's real convenient. That's really how most patients go whenever they sit down
Yeah.
with us.
When you look at how much you spend on your cell phone or coffee and glasses and contacts and prescription sunglasses, you know, it's actually kind of a financial deal.
Yeah. So my last question does go to both of you. Dr. Knowles, if you were not an ophthalmologist, what would your career choice be?
Well, that's a great question. I was at the Air Force Academy before I went to med school, and had an opportunity to go to pilot training or med school. Couldn't pick both. They said you could do one or the other. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to do the medical school track, but flying jets for the Air Force probably would have been what I would have done.
That makes sense. If you haven't seen our Facebook post from Halloween, Dr. Knowles came as Tom Cruise.
Maverick, Top
Maverick,
Knife.
Top Gun.
Top Knife.
Okay.
There you go, yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. And Dr. Stahl, what would your career path be if you were not an ophthalmologist?
You know, I was actually an optometrist before I was an ophthalmologist, so I had both kind of eye doctors. And apologies to Luke Combs for stealing his line. If I weren't doing this, I'd be doing this. I would find a way to do something very similar to this, whether it was in the mission field or work as an optometrist or work in an eye doctor's office. For me, I was kind of born with this. My dad was an eye doctor. He was here in Beaver Creek for 50 years. A lot of you already know who my dad is. So I was kind of born to this. So if I weren't doing this, I'd find another way to be doing this.
So not riding bikes.
Not right. Well, I might be riding bikes a little more.
That's a hobby. That's a hobby.
Actually, it was so nice today.
Yep.
I got out, got on that bike after work today,
Yeah,
and
said
got
you
to
back
burn
at
off a little
5:15.
nervous energy before the seminar. And LASIK said, "You're going to be back on time."
That's
And
right.
yeah, and I was.
Yep.
So Maureen, do we have any questions coming from
Yes, we
viewers?
do. We have some really good questions coming in. So is PRK safer than LASIK?
Two types of laser vision correction, LASIK and PRK. Theoretically, PRK could be a little safer because with PRK, there is no flap. But when you actually look at the complication rates a year or two in, LASIK and PRK have the same safety rate. They have the same visual recovery results. Now, where PRK is safer, if you happen to have a very high prescription and a somewhat thinner cornea, well, LASIK is not so safe because it goes too deep. And PRK is much, much safer. The other place, and it comes back to the military, because Dr. Knowles here was Colonel Knowles at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and he did a lot of military preparedness. He would do fighter pilots and he would do people in the armed services. And if you're in the Army and if you're an infantryman and likely been hand-to-hand combat, there are some concerns about getting hit in the eye and that flap getting dislocated. Now, it's interesting, in the Air Force or in the Navy, they want their jet fighter pilots to have LASIK, and they've tested them coming out of cockpits and very adverse circumstances, and the flap is very stable. But for certain things, a thin cornea, high prescription, or if you're into jiu-jitsu and doing cage fighting, maybe PRK is a little safer.
Wrestlers.
There you go.
Wrestlers.
Yeah. Mixed martial arts with no face protection.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
So if you're in combat sports, maybe PRK. A little longer recovery, but equal results when you get there.
Another good question. Why doesn't my medical insurance company cover LASIK if I have migraines from wearing glasses?
Well, that's a great question. So to repeat it, why does my medical insurance not cover LASIK because I get migraines wearing glasses? Well, medical insurance, again, they're not in the habit of doing anything that is considered elective. I think way back when, actually, medical insurance did cover LASIK, and they very quickly found out how popular it was that they would not be able to do that. I remember the Panasonic office or Panasonic company up in the Troy area were offering that, and they realized through their insurance program, they said, no way. So anyhow, all of us have battles with our insurance companies over various different things, and a lot of things that make sense to us, like why don't they do this? Well, it ends up being probably a bottom line issue and an overall rule that they have. Could you pursue an exception to their rule? That's possible. But again, it's a big company and they're probably not going to be super responsive to that. But that's kind of a general answer to that question.
Another question. I've been in for an exam previously, and as the exam went on, I couldn't tell if I was seeing the best. Why could that have been?
Yeah, the question was, I had an exam prior, and as the exam went on, I felt like I wasn't seeing really good. And what happens there? Well, we measure your eyes several different ways. First of all, we've got really sophisticated technology that makes wavefront measurements of your prescription, and that's probably the most accurate thing out there. Then we measure your eyes without any drops in, just as you come off the street, basically. And then we dilate your eyes and measure you again. Now, most people have experienced that. Once your eyes are dilated, you don't feel like you're seeing as sharply, and you're definitely not seeing as good up close. But we actually get really useful measurements out of dilation too. Again, this goes back to that nomogram thing. We use all of those measurements, this machine measurements, your measurements before drops, your measurements after you've been dilated, and we have very sophisticated nomograms that puts that all together to figure out what's the exact prescription you need to have done so that you have the lowest chance of having an enhancement and the very best vision afterwards. Again, the advantage, we have 32,000 patients, very powerful, sophisticated nomograms, get people pretty much dead spot on.
Can I have monovision if I don't wear glasses or contacts for distance?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'll take that one because I answered that a little bit earlier. So the question was, I don't wear any glasses for distance, but I'm getting a little older and I can't see up close. So what are my options? So let's say you're about 45 to 55, and that's the case. Well, you can do LASIK to do monovision. You can do one eye up close and one eye far away. So that's possible. I don't find a lot of people want to do that because they usually just wear their $10 reading glasses. Now let's take it a little bit older. Let's say you're 55 to 65. Well, in that group, you're very likely to be having the beginnings of a cataract. And for Dr. Knowles and I, if you have the beginnings of cataracts, then we found that it's a little easier to do refractive lens exchange. It's not LASIK or PRK. It's not laser vision correction. It's a lot more like cataract surgery. We have some awesome bifocal implants nowadays, and we can restore your near vision and you can see far away. So if you're in that older group, maybe refractive lens exchange. If you're in the younger group, we can do monovision LASIK surgery.
We had a patient ask that in the office the other day. Her friend came in for surgery. She was having monovision done. Her friend was probably about the same age. And she said, can I do that if I don't wear glasses or contacts? I told her to try with contacts, see if she likes it.
Yep. Yep.
So what happens after the final appointment with us? Do they need routine eye exams afterwards? Do they come to us or would we send them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Comes up all the time. And we tell you that at that final eye exam. We say, you know, things are going great at this point. Just routine eye exam every 1 to 2 years is what I tell my patients. 1 to 2 years with your regular eye doctor. The good news is you don't need any additional treatment at that point in time. Things look good. They look stable. If there are some changes, some other issues that develop down the road, then your regular eye doctor can help identify that and then refer you over to us. And we'd be happy to see you at that point in time. But at that point, you know, things have gone well. You really don't need any other care from us. And so we do recommend still annual eye exams, at least every 1 to 2 years. With your regular eye doctor, that's the way to go.
Last question, Laken, this would be a good one for you. Ooh, do we have available appointments this year?
Oh, yes, for sure. I did not check the availability before we sat down, but if I had to guess, we're probably just into next week. You do need to take into consideration when scheduling that you do need to be out of contact lenses for a week beforehand. But yes, on our website, you can check out stahlvision.com. You can make your own appointment there. It gives you all the directions for getting prepped for the appointment, making sure you're out of your contact lenses. Again, directions on how to get to the office. So yes, for sure, we definitely have appointments and surgery. All it.
That's good. So Laken, you kind of just said it, but just run through that again. So somebody watched the seminar and they say, okay, I want to do this. So what's the steps? What do they do?
They can call. So if you want to call, you can give us a call. We're happy to talk to you on the phone. If you're busy, you don't like being on the phone, you'd rather do it yourself in 5 minutes and you want to do it now, again, you can hop online. It's stahlvision.com. There's a little tab that says LASIK, and then it's just create your own LASIK appointment. Follow that down. It'll remind you, it'll ask you a few simple questions. Do you wear contact lenses? Are you pregnant or nursing? Street address, that kind of thing. You get to pick your doctor. They have different schedules, so that's really important to know. Dr. Stahl is in the office on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Dr. Knowles is in Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and some Fridays, but they do surgery on different days as well. So that's important to know when you're thinking about making your appointment also.
And if you have questions about the financing, is that online too?
Yep, absolutely. It is under the financing tab. And again, we're happy to help you with any of those questions as well.
How much do they save if they mention they watched our seminar?
$1,100 today.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
So now we've finished all of our question and answers. We've been making videos for quite some time now, at least since 2016. We've been putting them up on our YouTube page. You've probably seen them circulate through our Facebook page a lot. So we just kind of want to hear from you guys. We are posting a post on Facebook as soon as the seminar is over to have you guys vote. We want to know, we're having another webinar in March. So we want to know, do you
March
guys
24th.
really like the question and answers? Are you interested in more of that? Or would you like to see a live LASIK surgery done via Zoom or Facebook Live? We've done it before.
We have done
that was really awesome. But it's been quite a while since we've done one. So I wanted to kind of see what you guys think about it. And again, we'll post it right afterwards. So you can see that too.
I've got one more
That's
quick
awesome.
question. How do they show proof that they attended the seminar? How do they work?
All you have to do is say, I was at the seminar. That's
Yeah.
proof enough for
Yep,
us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's good. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about too was just don't forget that you can check all of our videos out on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's so many extra seminars that we've done that are up. They're very informative. And you can check the link for our YouTube page will be in that Facebook post, as well as the Yeti giveaway.
Oh, yes. We have a Yeti.
Yes. So
It's not the big furry thing, by the way.
No.
It's actually a cooler.
Abominable snowman.
So,
it is full of Ohio State gear. So we are going to be giving that away. We're going to be picking the winner tomorrow, announcing it on Monday. So the ways to get into that contest again is go to our Facebook page, give us a like, a share, a follow. We like that. Like, share, follow, tag your friends in that post too. The directions will be in the post, but it's right there at the top. It's pinned. Go ahead and share that. You guys still have some time, and we'll give that away on Monday.
that's awesome. So, yeah.
So be ready for a video on Monday.
Okay. That
Okay.
sounds good. Hey, there is one other video on the YouTube. You know, some people have like, well, what's my typical day? So we actually made your typical LASIK day video.
Mhm.
So you can go on YouTube and you can see that, and it has a patient kind of walking through the process and what to expect and how to use your drops and what it might be like in your aftercare. So there's a video on there that kind of walks them through the whole process. So if you want to kind of see what it might be like, there's a typical your LASIK day video on there too.
And we recorded our last seminar that Maureen was in. That one's up.
Yeah.
Asked a lot of good questions in that. And then while you were in Jamaica, we have the one that one's about 48 minutes long. It's very detailed. So
Yeah.
that one's up too.
All right. Hey, thanks for the good questions. We appreciate getting
Yeah.
good questions from our audience and wanting to know what you want to know. Look forward to seeing you all.
Thank you. Have a good night.